If you remember, they did the Skechers slip-on ad with Mr. T and Tony Romo, and that was like an 8-figure contract. So essentially, they needed to, number one, understand if the talent they were booking is the right talent. Number two is what the basis of the program, all of the different content communications that we're putting out at that time.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. Joining me is Red Intel CEO Jeremy Barnett. Jeremy, very good to speak with you. You're in the middle of a fundraise. Before we get into that, for viewers new to this story, can you tell us about Red Intel and what you do?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I appreciate you having us on. We're an artificial intelligence marketing company that helps brands get to their target customer with the right message at the right time. And we do so in a way that's more effective and more efficient. So effectively, we're helping brands make better return on investment with their marketing spend.
How do you do that, Jeremy?
Well, we've created a natural language processing artificial intelligence that understands language. It understands the historical content patterns that are associated with why people respond to the specific pieces of content that they see. There's, billions, maybe even trillions of pieces of content that are distributed across the open web on a daily basis. What we decide to engage with and what we don't decide to engage with oftentimes is a decision that dictates whether we buy or don't buy. There's also different use cases associated with just making certain that you're speaking to your customers in a way that they want to be spoken to. So the idea of understanding the things that mobilize your customers to take action is really the basis of how we've trained our models. Understanding why people engage and why people don't engage and what they want to see and when they want to see it is really what the most important factor is when you're talking about any digital ad spend. And that's exactly what we've built our IP around.
So really kind of helping brands make content decisions that resonate with customers. Could you give us an example of some of the brands that you work with, Jeremy?
Yeah, I can give you some examples that really led us to some of the bigger contracts that we had today. And some of the more current examples with clients that are at market right now, we like to be a little bit more reserved with talking about those. But for example, Skechers a couple of years ago, not this past Super Bowl, but this last Super Bowl. If you remember, they did the Skechers slip-on ad with Mr. T and Tony Romo, and that was like an 8-figure contract. So essentially, they needed to, number one, understand if the talent they were booking is the right talent. Number two is what the basis of the program, all of the different content communications that we're putting out at that time. You can understand why it's important for them to make certain that they're making good decisions. We're talking about an 8-figure program all in. So that's an example of underwriting a program and helping them validate some of the content decisions that were made. And that's in the context of Skechers. In the context of Hasbro, they came to us, and now we're scaling across a portfolio of brands with Hasbro. But Hasbro initially came to us with an idea of just wanting to relaunch one of their popular older titles and understanding how the nuances of this popular older title would now translate into a new modern audience. And they had some ideas, but being able to validate those ideas and also validate the personalities, influencers, and influential people that would be able to promote those ideas and put those ideas at market was important to them. So you can see there's a little bit of a difference with the way people use it. Sweetgreen, another a good example. They came to us. They launched a bunch of stores in the flyover states, everything in between California and New York, and they weren't 100% certain that people in these states would be willing to pay for a $20 salad. So the messaging initially, when it came to us, was a little bit more discount driven. And when we ran our analysis before we activated the program and campaign for them, we were able to tell them it was more of an awareness problem, not a money problem. In other words, people were 100% willing to pay for a healthy, high quality, yummy salad, but they just didn't know about them in these different places that they wanted to launch. So essentially, if you have the wrong strategy going into any program, the effectiveness of that program is incredibly limited. So we like to think about before we do any of the activation, we make certain that we're making the best possible AI-informed decisions based off of the things that your customers care most about today.
So Jeremy, onto that Reg A+ offering, how much are you planning to raise and how do you intend to use those funds?
We have a couple of Reg A pluses planned in the next 12 months. The first one, which we just launched, we're going to be raising $11.5 million, and that round will close on June 23rd of this year, which is 2025. And we're using the funds to expand across all of the different product sets that are servicing our client bases right now. So we have a large agency client in the form of Omnicom, which is a behemoth, and we're servicing them from more of a hands-on keyboards perspective. So the different agencies underneath the Omnicom umbrella use our technology to power companies like Procter and Gamble and Nissan and Vino. So building out those feature sets and continuing to be what we like to think is the leader in the space when it comes to AI-informed content creation. Secondary to that, but equally important, is revenue growth. So investing into sales is important, and continuing to have the infrastructure and marketing that supports our ongoing sales efforts. And the third, which is our most important growth initiative, is we're using some of the proceeds to acquire small to medium-sized agencies, typically agencies that are between $5 to $50 million a year in revenue, EBITDA positive. Most importantly, agencies that will benefit significantly from the value our AI would have on their client base. So the idea is expanding on client contracts that they have and being able to close more revenue with the existing clients that they have, and also retain the clients that they have because of the differentiation our technology provides.
I mean, looking at sales, Jeremy, your first quarter sales doubled from last year, in fact, surpassing the whole of 2024.
Yeah.
Do you see this momentum continuing?
Yeah, we're at the very beginning of a banner year. Banner year meaning by far and away the best year that we've had by a significant multiple. We do have to be careful with how we talk about that because we are in the middle of an SEC qualified Reg A plus. What I can say is we've already surpassed all of last year by a very big number. And this is due to some key contracts expanding. Specifically, we have a portfolio of brands that we're working on with Hasbro right now, which is really at the end of about 2 years with the piloting with them. And Omnicom, our largest agency partner, is also expanding quite dramatically. So we expect these key contracts to continue to expand. And there's a little bit of a snowball effect when you start to get traction like this. The snowball effect meaning as you get more proof points and validation points at market with marquee brands and agencies, the willingness for some of these Fortune 1000 brands that are typically risk adverse when it comes to testing new incumbents, they're now willing to come on board. So we're seeing this traction snowball into more traction in other areas of the business.
Well, Jeremy, I hope you'll keep us updated on that Reg A plus offering as well as your own progress. Thank you very much for the introduction today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having us on. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's Red Intel CEO Jeremy Barnett.